NFL Power Rankings heading into Week 9, ranking all 32 teams every single Monday night. Let's jump into it. A new number 32, the Tennessee Titans find themselves back in that 32 spot. A brutal season. They're starting to sell. Traded Roger McCreary earlier today. I'm guessing they're going to continue to trade pieces away. So it's been tough. One good thing from this last game, Tyjae Spears looks pretty good. Maybe more of him. That's if they actually want to win. Number 31, the Jets dug themselves out of that hole. That is number 32. They're up a spot to 31 after a thrilling come-from-behind victory against the Bengals. What an outing for Breece Hall and the rest of that offense. Maybe that sparks something. Maybe they get some momentum going. They start to stack some wins. Probably not, but they'll go and decide that. Number 30, the Saints down 2 spots. Like we were kind of thinking earlier in the year, even while they were losing, we're all going, at least I'm going, besides the Seahawks game, maybe we're going, they're a little better than expected. You know, they're not good, they're losing, but maybe, you know, Rattler and company, they're playing teams a little tougher than we thought. Not the same anymore. They're playing like we expected the Saints to be. They're pretty bad right now. Quarterback situation a disaster. Quarterback plays a disaster. The running game's a disaster. They can't execute in the red zone. They're turning the ball over. Defense most definitely isn't the worst in the world. There's just nothing great about it, right? So the Saints are back to where they started and where they belong, perhaps, down 2 spots to number 30. Number 29, the Raiders are going to go up a spot to 29, even though they were on a bye. That's everything I just said about the Saints, right? They forced themselves down, so the Raiders ended up going up a spot to 29. They got the Jags this week. That game could be interesting. The Browns are down a spot to 28. They started the game off pretty well against the Patriots, and you know, they're flustering Drake May. Myles Garrett's going crazy. They got an early touchdown, and then boom, everything went south. Even with all that, 6 sacks on Drake May, things went south. The Patriots just made them uncomfortable, right? They took away the run. They made him throw, made Gabriel uncomfortable pass situations, and that just made the Browns offense uncomfortable, and they couldn't do enough. They ended up getting dominated, even though the game started pretty well for them. So that was a tough look for them, down a spot. Giants go down 3 spots to number 27, and it's a tough look for them, even though at the same time they got screwed on some calls, perhaps, or mainly the tush-push that could have been not only the Giants' ball, maybe they could have taken that back for 6 instead of the Eagles keep the ball, score a touchdown. You guys know what happened. They still probably would have lost the game, right? But it's a tough look because just a couple weeks ago, they played the same opponent, the Eagles, and they dominated them, and now things were up. Things were looking way up for the Giants. Now, the opposite. Scadaboo goes down. It's a big factor. He's an important piece, but it almost looks like they really are desperate to have Scadaboo in a game like this. Maybe they make adjustments. We'll see. Tyrone Tracy, we have to step up here, but not the best of looks for the Giants, even though calls most certainly did not go their way. They're down 3 spots, 27. Cardinals are going to stay put. They are on a big losing streak, but they are off a bye. Going to get Kyler Murray back in a very interesting game coming up this week in primetime against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm actually excited about that game. That game go either way in Dallas. Should be a fun one. We'll see who we pick in tomorrow night's Pick'ems video. Number 25, the Minnesota Vikings down 5 spots. Disappointing outing. Yes, the Vikings, you know, it's not really the same exact team we thought it was going to be going into the year because the quarterback situation and the entire starting offensive line is yet to play with each other, and that is resulted in worst play for Minnesota. At the same time, there's a lot more going on. They're just straight out, you know, look like a bad team recently, especially against the Chargers. The play calling's not even, you know, going well. Short yardage are the worst in football. They're not running the ball enough. They couldn't run the ball because they were down. You know, quarterback plays bad, offensive line plays bad. How about the defense though? This defense is supposed to be so much better in this. They can't stop the run, and all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks, they can't stop the pass. So this team's playing some brutal football right now, especially this past Thursday night against the Chargers. They're on 5 spots, 25. Dolphins go up a whopping 5 spots to number 24. Yes, this is only their second win, but I like what I saw in that game against the Falcons. Maybe it's just a 1-week thing, but all of a sudden, stopping the run, not only stopping the run, shutting down Bijan Robinson, that Falcons rushing attack after being the worst run defense in football. So that starting to come to life, perhaps. Tua starting to come to life, looking like Tua. And, you know, just overall, both sides of the ball playing very well. The Falcons, they're inconsistent, but it's a tough team to play because at any given time they can play ball on either side of the ball. So it's pretty impressive with the Dolphins. So I moved them up 5 spots, 24. Can they put something consistent together? They'll play the Ravens this week on Thursday Night Football. At least they're home. 23, the Bengals go down 2 spots. They lost to the Jets, the number 32, the only team without a win, Jets. So you do kind of want them to move down more, right? You think they should move down more. I mean, at the same time, you look back at last week's win against the Steelers, that was big, so it's not like they're on a losing streak. They did outplay the Jets for majority of this game. They kind of choked it away. The defense, a big part of this, and they do have maybe the worst defense in football. That's pretty bad. I thought it was a matter of them just running the ball a little bit more, and they probably win this game, right? So it was a tough one. Can't lose to the Jets, but this is a team that, it sounds funny, but they're kind of a threat no matter who they play, because you have to worry about their offense really no matter who you are, but because their defense, you definitely have a shot to beat them and score a lot of points on any given week. They'll go down 2 spots, number 23. Maybe many would have thought they moved down more for losing the Jets, but that's where they're at. Number 22, the Commanders are going to stay put. The final score was a tough outing tonight in Monday Night Football against the Chiefs, but they played them a little tougher. I mean, not in the second half, but they played them a little tougher than expected. It was a little surprising, maybe unlucky that they were even tied at halftime, because they probably should have been up. So some mistakes there. Mariota's playing good ball. I don't love the play calling, not just this game, but recently. And the Chiefs just really outcoached them in the second half, and they are the better team. But I know the Commanders have potential to be better in this. They have to go and prove it, but I didn't really feel enough to move them down, especially with the teams. The Bengals just lost to the Jets. The Vikings look horrendous, so those teams got to move down, obviously. Number 21, the Dallas Cowboys down 2 spots. It's a really good offense, obviously, but not this week when they finally play a really good defense. A disappointing outing for Dak and company. I still believe in the offense, but the defense is absolutely horrendous. The Broncos not only have not been able to get consistent offense going, but they have not been able to play for 3 quarters. They were able to play every quarter pretty much against this Cowboys defense, if like anybody can. So, it's hard to trust them. Your defense is this bad. It's hard to call you a good football team. Again, I think that Cardinals game could be interesting this week. I think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. It's a very likely chance. So I'm looking forward to that primetime game. Down 2 spots, 21. Panthers got destroyed by the Bills. We're not going to hammer them too much here because their starting quarterback was out, and Andy Dalton's struggles had a big part of the final score of this game. They are actually running the ball well. They're actually moving the ball fairly well, and they're limiting the Bills to field goals and not letting them go crazy early in this game. And then things when Dalton made mistakes after they moved the ball, and then that resulted in the Bills being able to score more, and then Cook started to go off. So still, I think with Bryce Young, they would have lost probably by multiple scores still, but I don't want to hammer them too much, but it was a bad outing for Carolina. A team that started to play better football recently before this week. Can they play with the good teams like Buffalo or even a step below that? We will see. They're down 2 spots to number 20. The Falcons go down 4 spots. A very ugly, disappointing outing against the Miami Dolphins. Yes, Michael Penix was out. Yes, Drake London was a surprise inactive before the game started. So that plays a factor there. But at the same time, what's the key to beating the Dolphins? The key to beating the Dolphins is running the football, because everybody on the planet can run the football on them. They're historically bad run defense, by far the worst in football going into this game. And then just playing defense, because they don't have Tyreek Hill. Tua's playing the worst he's ever played in his life, and they're turning the ball over a bit. Falcons could do that, right? They can run the ball at Bijan. They're playing pretty good defense for the most part this year, and those things did not happen. So I don't know if it's a huge excuse. It's an excuse, but a huge excuse. Who is that quarterback and who is that receiver, right? They would have been better with those guys. Things still didn't go right for them. Just shocked they were not able to run the ball. Just very, very much shocked with that. They're down 4 spots. They have some good moments this year on both sides of the ball, mainly defense. They are so inconsistent. Like, what are we going to get? Which Falcons team are we going to get? What offense are we going to get? What defense are we going to get? Are they ever going to be on the same page, same time? So they're a team that is a threat for anybody any week, but it's hard to fully trust them. So they're on 4 spots. A weird team. 4 spots down to number 19. The Bears go down 2 spots to number 18. Tough one for them. They go against the Ravens off their bye. The Bears were hot, obviously. They get to go against not Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, and they lose by 2 scores. So looking at it that way, it's like, Bears maybe move down a little more than two spots, but they do have 4 wins. Interesting team. Like we've been saying, do they need takeaways to win these football games? That's kind of a big question right now because during their win streak, they were getting crazy takeaways, a lot of them too. And in this game, they do not get that, and they lose to a backup quarterback, a team that had one win going into that game. So it is a tough look, but it's a team that showed that they're getting better, throughout their winning streak. So they're going to go down 2 spots to number 18. Give me more, show me a little bit more that you could win games without things really being perfect for you, right? So that's the thing we're all asking from Chicago right now. So they're down 2 spots, number 18. They'll play the Bengals this week. That could be a shootout. Who's going to win in that shootout? We'll see. We'll see if the Bears get some guys back in the secondary. We'll see if Joe Flacco even plays. I'd imagine he would. We'll see. That could be a pretty good game. Number 17, the Baltimore Ravens go up a whopping 8 spots. Yes, they only have a couple wins, but I think they show us enough here. They show us enough where they get their defense healthier. We actually saw that against the Rams, and they played really good against the defense played really good against one of the better teams in football there. And then we see them a little healthier against the Bears, a team that's really hot. The defense plays very, very well, and the offense without their quarterback plays fairly well. They move the ball extremely well in this game. They could have executed a little bit better in the red zone, but I mean, that tells me, with your backup quarterback, you win by 2 scores against a pretty hot team. We all know where the Ravens belong. I mean, they're going to end up probably better than this. They're going to have to actually stack those wins to go up there. But I think they show enough in the game like this where they show they can improve, especially on defense. When they get healthier, they're better, and they can beat some solid teams by multiple scores. That's the big thing. They win by multiple scores here in a game like this. So I felt good about moving the Ravens up that much, even though they only have a couple of wins. We'll see if they take care of business with Lamar coming back, most likely Thursday night against Miami. Number 16, the Texans go up a whopping 7 spots. Now, can they put something consistent together? Especially the offense. Can they stay consistent? Did they figure something out? Even though they were missing Nico Collins and Christian Kirk. That's pretty crazy they were without Collins. But at the end of the day, they beat a really solid 49ers team. I know the 49ers were very, very injured. Everybody's injured. The Texans are injured. That's still a good, well-coached, tough team to play, tough team to beat. Texans also, I feel like they have the best defensive football. So that means something. And, sometimes as the year goes on, that means more and more. Like earlier in seasons, it's like all the crazy offenses are winning. And then having that great of defense matters more and more as the year goes on a lot of the time we've seen in the past. So that means something there on the offense, found a spark. Will that continue, though? That's a big-time win. They go out, and I felt like they outplayed them by more than the score showed, and the score looked pretty good. Multiple score victory for the Houston Texans. So they're up 7 spots. Maybe they get some help. A lot of these other teams below them losing. They have the win over the Ravens. They have more wins than them, obviously, so that's pretty big. And this is a very rare situation. The Jags off a bye, and they've been losing. I don't know if I've ever had this. I've had a team go up a spot off a bye, but go up 2 spots, and a lot of help here. Again, Bears lost. They lost to a backup quarterback by 2 scores. The Falcons got embarrassed by the Dolphins. The Panthers got absolutely embarrassed. How good are the Panthers as well? Just comparing to these teams, I feel like the Jags, even though they have gotten cold, while those teams got cold this week, the Jags are also just kind of feel to me, based on the eye test, that they're just better. So I felt okay with this rare situation. A team off a bye has also lost some games recently, move up 2 spots to number 15. But it's a team that's very capable of being explosive on both sides of the ball. They're a team that's kind of relied on takeaways. The bye could be good for them. And they'll play the Raiders this week. It's a good spot for Jacksonville. We'll see if they get back on track here. We will see. But an interesting situation there in the power rankings. 14, the Steelers go down a spot. And weeks ago, they were passing the record test, but they were not passing the eye test, which is a big thing for me here. So I wasn't ranking them super high. I didn't think they were as good as their record, and that's kind of been proven to be true recently. The Bengals lost, and now the Packers lost. In the second half, they got absolutely dominated. At the same time, I still think they're a fairly solid team. They're much better on offense with Rodgers. The defense is definitely worse than your typical Steelers defense. They can generate pressure. They did well in the first half in that game. All that being said, again, based off the past 2 weeks, you would think they would move down a little bit more. Look what's happening. They got some help here. I mean, the Jags couldn't move up 3 spots off a bye, been losing. The Texans, it's been a roller coaster. A lot more negative than positive so far this year. Ravens only have 2 wins. very disappointing outings from some of those other teams below the Steelers that we've talked about. So it was pretty tough to move them down more than that, but they've kind of shown us that maybe they need a little bit of luck. Maybe they need to play average to below average competition. Can they hang with the big boys? I'm not going to say they're never going to beat a good team. They could beat a good team, but they got to show us more here. They got to show us they can go out and just play 4 quarters of football, and defense is not, why can't they have the really good Steelers defenses now that they have a quarterback slinging the ball? It's tough, but I guess they had to decline at some point. 13, the Niners go down 5 spots, and it's tough to move a good team like that who's been impressive, extremely impressive given the circumstances this year. It's tough to move them down 5 spots. There's a lot of good teams with a lot of good records, a lot of good games they played, good outings they had this past week, so that was a big reason for them, a big reason for them moving down. They had a disappointing outing, right? They lost to a Texans team that's really struggling. They got outplayed, both sides of the ball, but a big reason to move down that many spots, just the other teams and them playing very good football and looking a little bit more on the positive side after this past week. Chargers go up 2 spots, and good to see. Herbert played a really, really solid game with Joe Alt back in there. Vidal played a very solid game. Lad McConkey, besides one brutal drop, but other than that, was awesome. The defense was awesome, generating constant pressure. And Joel comes back, and it kind of looks back to normal here and some. So that's a pretty good look for the Chargers here. Can they put something consistent together? Are they going to slip up? They've had some sloppy games recently, but feeling pretty positive with the Chargers. They go up 2 spots to number 12. Number 11, the Eagles going to go up a spot. Actually come away impressed. It's been some weeks since we've been actually since we have high standards, Philadelphia, but it's been quite a few weeks since we come away actually fully impressed with the Eagles. Look a little bit more like themselves, especially running the football. That is good to see. Barkley runs wild, 150 yards. Tank Bigsby, how about him getting going? He actually got over 100 yards as well. That's pretty crazy. So a team they got embarrassed to just a couple weeks ago, they embarrassed them, right? So that's really good look for Philadelphia. Overall, yeah, it's weird seeing them down at number 11 because they're defending Super Bowl champions. Just overall, the last collection of weeks, there's been some negative things. Other teams just kind of have looked better. So just up a spot, really not a lot of top teams, not able to move them down. You'll see. 10, the Broncos up a spot. Very good record. Very impressive outing against the Dallas Cowboys. A team that's got an explosive offense. The Broncos defense shows they are towards the top of the NFL. They're one of the best of the best defenses. And the offense got something going. We need to see them play more than just one quarter. They put together full 4 quarters there, so it's really good to see. A lot of it is the Cowboys defense they're bad. They're really, really bad, but the Broncos executed. Run game, pass game. Bo Nix impressive after the interception. So good outing for Denver. Something a little more impressive because the other wins they've been getting, it's like, yeah, 4th quarter's impressive, but no one's really left like feeling very, very good about them after this week. We kind of are, minus the unfortunate Patrick Surtain injury, but they're in the top 10. Number 9, the Buffalo Bills go up a spot. Yeah, the most recent weeks, if you combine them, it's been disappointing for Buffalo, but they get back on track here with a dominant win over the Carolina Panthers. Can they do it against the better teams? Are they going to go back to inconsistent, struggling ways they were the 2 weeks before the Panthers? We'll find out this week. Bills versus Chiefs in Buffalo. We know. It's one of those games. That's always a classic, so I can't wait for that one. I mean, the winner of that one's going to be ranked pretty high. If the Bills win that one, you got to find room to move them up, right? We got to move them up far, far from 9, you would think. I guess what other teams do depends on what other teams are doing, so I'm trying to say. Patriots, I'm super impressed with the Patriots. I've been, breaking that down a lot. The way Drake May's playing, the way the passing game is, the way the defense stops the run, I love it. The way the defense plays in general. But I love that things didn't start well. It's a situation where teams are, find themselves getting uncomfortable and not being able to adjust, but the Patriots adjust pretty quickly and then in dominant fashion. So it's just not too many, believe it or not, there's not too many teams that can do that. So very much impressed with the Patriots on both sides of the ball. The coaching, Drake May, fantastic. They got Travion Henderson going. Patriots are playing really good football. Really good football. Last time they lost was the Steelers, and they got very unlucky in that game. They cut the slop out, and they figured some things out here. They're in the top 8. Seahawks go down a spot. Yeah, nothing they did. They were on a bye. The Chiefs moving up. Another impressive win for the Chiefs. The second half being impressive for the Chiefs. So them just kind of moving up. The Seahawks, very impressed with them because better than expected across the board. I love the balance. Again, I've said that before. I love that they can dominate on defense and they can be explosive and dominate on offense at times. That's pretty rare. So really looking forward to Seattle at Commanders, Seahawks at Commanders. They got Sunday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken. I know the Commanders have been disappointing, but we know they're better than what the record shows. At home, Jaden Daniels coming back. Defense started to look a little bit better, at least the first half against the Chiefs. So it could be a trap game for Seattle. But, man, I love the way they play on both sides of the ball. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a statement game for both of those teams. Forget the record, what Seahawks record is compared to what the Commanders record is. It's a statement game for whoever wins that game. So I'm excited about it. So the Seahawks only go down. They didn't get to play and then the Chiefs won, so that was it. The Bucs, a little surprising here, maybe to some. Big fan of how the Bucs have played this season. I mean, they won big. They won 23-3, a very good outing on defense. It was dominating at times. A lot of it was just the Saints being a mess. They can't run the ball against anyone, and the quarterbacks are throwing the wrong team the ball quite a bit, but you have to give the Bucs credit. They played very well on defense. I'm just, left a little disappointed with the offense. Like since the Lions game, kind of going backwards. Baker's a little off. Maybe he's playing injured, probably is, but he's missing a lot of throws. They just don't look as explosive. They are injured, but that's where they sit right now. I just felt the Chiefs, what they've been doing, that was the reason the Bucs end up going down a spot. If they blew me away, I had good takeaways that have been very, very tough to move them down a spot. It would have been impossible, actually. And then there goes the Chiefs. If it kind of stayed how the first half went, the Chiefs most definitely would not have moved up at all. Maybe they would have moved down. But the second half, you can see in the first half, they're probably the better team. They just kind of got to adjust, figure things out. Absolutely dominant in the second half. And the Commanders changed some things on defense. It's been a bad defense, but they tweaked some things. I wonder if Dan Quinn took a little bit more control. I saw him making signals on the sideline, and they had Rashee Rice doubled for a not 100% of the snaps for a portion of this game. And I think the Chiefs really wanted to get him going a lot, and they were like, oh, that's the first read, and Mahomes made plays elsewhere. But I think the Commanders really threw them off, and for the Chiefs to adjust, it shows credit to the coaching staff in the second half. In the second half, they were able to do everything they wanted. They were able to spread the ball out to anyone they wanted. They were able to run the ball pretty effectively to either back until Pacheco got hurt. Hopefully he's okay. So impressed mainly with the coaching staff in that second half, but stepping up on both sides of the ball. So the Chiefs have been rolling. You could feel that they are a legit contender. Perfect world, they put 4 quarters together, but they're starting to move up again. I know they don't have the record that some of these other teams have, but they're passing that eye test for sure. Lions will go down a spot. Nothing they did. They were on a bye. Just another team kind of passing them. And the Chiefs do have the head-to-head against the Lions, and they outplayed them a bit. I just think if you look at the entire resumes, and not just looking at them on paper, but seeing those games, the Lions have a better overall outing in total this year, even though the Chiefs are, if you say today, maybe playing a little bit better, and the Lions had a really good outing against the Bucs last time we saw them. So, and there's a difference in record there on top of it, so that could kind of be the tiebreaker at the end of the day. So, but couldn't move the Lions down more than one spot. But the Packers end up going up a spot, similar to the Chiefs. Not the prettiest in the first half in their primetime game, but you kind of could see like they were the better team. They just had unfortunate drops, a couple missed kicks. Second half, they absolutely dominate the Steelers on both sides of the ball in a Rodgers revenge game in Pittsburgh. So that was kind of that Packers team that we saw the first couple weeks, right? And the Packers team we kind of been wanting more of. Just absolutely dominant. Jordan Love looking really good. They're really good in third down long situations, which is that's big. That's big time there. So defense is getting better. Micah Parsons is really, really getting going recently. So I moved the Packers up a spot, even though the Lions look fantastic recently as well. Better record. They do have the head-to-head. It's not all about head-to-head. There's been 8 weeks of football, but since it's so close, feeling good about second off of Green Bay. That kind of was all that deciding factor there. Number 2, the Rams stay put. I love the way the Rams are playing, and they do have They did give the Colts their only loss this year, so that's pretty high on when looking at the resume, but the Colts only have one loss and they're playing better football than anyone right now. And you could debate the Rams in that one spot because they're playing great and, they have the win against them, but the Colts, I had no reason to move them down. They could just continue. I mean, they run the ball, they throw the ball, they can make clutch plays in crucial situations with both of those. They don't even need those crucial. They're not even in those crucial situations a lot of time because they're dominating teams and they're playing great on defense as well. Such a well-coached team. The offensive line's playing incredible. Jonathan Taylor's playing like an MVP, but Daniel Jones is making some big-time plays. I mean, the Titans were actually getting pressure on Daniel Jones early, which was a little bit of a surprise. I think T'Vondre Sweat kind of being back in the mix, and then the Colts just like brushed it off. Like, let's just keep rolling. So, and you expect them to completely outplay the Titans, but they did that. No slipping up. Teams are slipping up all the time. Colts are not doing that right now. Very, very impressed with them from top to bottom. So no reason to move them down. So there you have it for the power rankings heading into week 9 based on how teams are actually performing this year and week to week, not end of the year predictions. I threw this in the end of the last one. If I had to predict right now, if I did make an end of the year prediction, who do I feel like the best teams are? Rams, Chiefs, Packers. I mean, the Colts are playing so good. You can't, count them out. Can't count out the Lions. If the Bucs can somehow get healthy, if they're, watch out for the Ravens if they get rolling. The Bills will snap on it at some point. The Patriots impressing the hell out of me. The Eagles probably get back on track if the Chargers continue to get healthy. I mean, they look pretty good, but yeah, if this was more like contender power rankings, I'll probably have the Rams, honestly, like I said last week, at the top. And with some of the similar teams still towards the top, and the Chiefs a little higher, Packers probably right where they're at. Those teams can be very scary down the stretch in the playoffs, possible Super Bowl, but there's always going to be that sneaky team, so we'll see who that will be this upcoming week. Another game, Colts-Steelers could be an interesting game this week. I mean, you would think a lot of people are going to pick the Colts, but everyone kind of wait for them to slip up. We'll see what happens. But there you have it. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments here every Monday night with this video. Next video will be our Tuesday night pick'ems. We'll have score predictions, trade deadline videos on the channel. More to come leading up to that deadline. Very excited for that. Like, subscribe to notifications on me. Much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.